question you is you're in a very unique position of you had some time under your belt and you had some trips under your belt before September 11th, 2001. Where were you? What was your duty station when, September 11th kicked off?
I was at 1st Recon Battalion. I think we were called Battalion at the time. And I remember driving in, the TV was on in the aid station because we'd all show up to work at the aid station. I wasn't in a platoon at the time. I'd just come back from a deployment because I did a deployment in early 2000. And that was back when your medal was measured by how fast you could run or, how far you could swim and all that kind of stuff, right? Because nobody had really been to combat. There were the original Gulf War guys. And then, but really before that, you're looking at like NAM, which that's my dad's era. And it was interesting. I remember walking in and the guys are all like sitting around the TV and it was up in the corner, like the big actual like boxy TV.
Yeah.
We're like, and somebody said like this plane just crashed into the towers and it was gnarly. Of course, the whole base locked down and I was calling my wife to try to touch base and see what was going on. And it was pretty wild. We all, of course, thought we were like leaving next week and it didn't play out like that. I actually didn't leave. I didn't hit Iraq until 2004 because I was waiting on my orders. I already had the orders. I was just waiting on my time to transfer to field med school to be an instructor. And it was right after I left that the guys actually loaded up and went, it ended up being a few months, I think. And of course, you've got that sitting on the bench feeling, but I would never give back my time at field med school. That was one of the most rewarding tours I ever had, because you're bringing all these young corpsmen in, these sailors that are going to be serving with the Marines. And especially then, we all knew everybody was going right over. That was a super rewarding tour. And then when I got to Iraq, I remember seeing so many of those young sailors running around, which was awesome for me. They're like, whoa, so it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. That we can relate to that just because we got guys that are on the teams and they want to train, they want to deploy, they just want to continue to do the job. And then they get hit with orders to go be an instructor. And they're like, dude, how do I get out of these orders? I don't want to go be an instructor. I want to keep doing a mission. Well, something's got to feed the machine. Something's got to make, more operators. So they end up really enjoying that assignment and then shaping what the career field looks like and all these guys. And then they see them later on and they love it. And they see, kind of what the roles that they played in who they are today. And I mean, and that's not just for instructors either. That's for folks going and doing staff gigs and stuff like that. It's like, dude, I don't want to do it. But yet I went and did SOCCENT and then SOCOM headquarters, and the education and experience and exposure to not just some of the programs that they're doing and the level of that they're, thinking at, but just some of those conversations that I wasn't even a part of. I was just an outsider, were enlightening. So every assignment and tour you can make, it is what you make of it.
Oh, 100%. And it opened, like you said, it really opens your aperture. And then you can bring that back. If you're in a staff tour, you can bring that back because you've seen behind the curtain. And you might, for me, it was an education in money, where money comes from and certain pots of money, all that kind of stuff. But the human element of being an instructor, and I would always try to relay that to the guys and gals that did not want to go do an instructor tour. I tried to help them understand you now have the ability to put your stamp on every single person that comes out of that program for the next 3 years or 2 years or whatever it is. And if you're complaining about the quality of the people coming out, this is your opportunity to go and, put your spin on it.
Yeah. I used to say that too, almost it was like a speech. I should have written it down on a card or on a wall somewhere. I could have just saved myself the time. But when instructors would sign into the schoolhouse at Kirtland, I'd look at them and I go, hey, if we graduate 50 people a year, let's say we graduate 50 PJs a year, and that's a low, whatever, you're going to work here for 4 years. Our career field's only 500 people big. I'm telling you, you're going to be able to influence 50% of the career field. If you care about something and you want to make sure something is, cemented in our culture, I'm going to give you the opportunity to talk to 50% of our career field by the time you're out of here. By the time you get back to the teams, 50% of those dudes have heard your voice. Like, that's a pretty big deal. And people really don't, in the staff gig too, like Peaches, I'll just be honest with you. I heard staff gig and I got a little bit nauseous. So I had to wait, because I was like, oh God, no. But it's the same sort of thing. You start working in those circles and you don't realize that even in some of those, one-off positions that might not be the most fun and they're definitely not the most tactical, but you're working in circles where you're having conversations that have true impact. And that's really cool.